Before we get into our preview, who you got in this one? D for the Dallas Cowboys, W for the Washington Commanders. Let me know in the comments section of today's show, D or W. The Cowboys are heavy dogs on the road against Washington, which I don't recall the last time I said that. That might be a brand new sentence, frankly. Commanders 10.5-point favorites. I don't blame them at all. It makes sense. Certainly will be a game that you're not supposed to win. Here are the Cowboys' injuries to watch. Now, again, as a reminder, film this on our Thursday live show, so we'll see how things change and flow. It'll be updated for you guys in the description in the comments too. Sounds like DaRon Bland is heading in the right direction to play. We'll see. He said he feels more confident in it. Jake Ferguson has not practiced with his concussion. I don't think he's going to go. Tyler Guyton has been a full participant all week. Eric Kendricks has been he's upgraded to full on Thursday, so he'll play. CeeDee Lamb went from limited to DNP on Thursday. It's not a good sign. Maybe we'll get more in the not-too-distant future on that front, but that is certainly a concern. Trevon Diggs went from full to limited with a new groin injury, so that's not very good. Jordan Lewis trending towards his return. He was limited both Wednesday and Thursday. Hunter Lipke made his return to the practice field, so good news there. Still not practicing are both guards, Zack Martin and Tyler Smith, which is concerning. You might get Marshawn Neal and Brandon Cooks back this week too. Both those guys were limited. Seems like a slight stretch, but you're banged up and bad. It's not a good combination. On the Commanders side, Nick Bellore upgraded to limited after not practicing on Wednesday with his knee. Marshawn Lattimore is still not practicing at this time. I don't know if he's going to be able to go. Noah Igbenogany's been limited. Cleveland Ferrell and now Dante Fowler popping up on the injury report. Ferrell went from limited to DNP Wednesday, Thursday. Fowler's injury is new, popped up on Thursday. The kicker is also a bit nicked up, so we'll see about that front. Those injuries are noteworthy, but they still kind of favor the Commanders in the end. Let's talk matchups to watch here. And number one is your head coach against your old defensive coordinator, Mike McCarthy against Dan Quinn. I have thought about this take for a while, and I still maintain it. I think the Commanders on both sides of the ball are actually frauds. I think they're even a more extreme version of what the Cowboys were last year where, you can't beat good teams. The Commanders go from the best team in football against below-average teams to very mediocre against good teams. Here are the numbers, right? The points allowed against a league average or better offenses. The Commanders are allowing 28 points per game. With the Cardinals game, only one they have allowed at least 26. It's the one outlier game they've had in there. The points per game allowed against everybody else is 15.5, which is elite production. They're just not good against good teams and good quarterbacks. The difference there is you're not a good team, and you don't have a good quarterback in there right now. So the matchup still favors Washington. It doesn't really matter for this game. I still think the Commanders are frauds in the end. Who do you think is the better coach? Now, I think you can make a good argument for Dan Quinn. I don't think it was good enough for what the Cowboys needed, though. I think you need real change in the end. MM for Mike McCarthy, DQ for Dan Quinn. Number two, and we will asterisk this with the new groin injury for Trevon Diggs, which we'll see. Scary Terry versus Daddy Diggs is the matchup in this one. I did that on purpose because in the limited times these guys have played against each other, Diggs has owned him. 4 games. McLaurin caught a long touchdown in his first ever game against Diggs and has 2 catches since then. 3 catches on 12 targets, 6 pass breakups. The big difference here this week, Diggs is banged up. Also, the Commanders have a real quarterback now. And it's not Kyle Allen and Sam Howell out there just slinging the ball around. Matchup number 3. It is Mike Zimmer against Cliff Kingsbury. The stuff I said about the defense, smaller sample size, also applies. Cliff is still, I think Dan Quinn is too. They're the same coaches still. Now, Cliff's added some better run game stuff, which I appreciate. But his teams historically start hot and fade without fail. In Arizona, his offenses were top 10 in the first 8 weeks. Last 8 weeks, or 9 weeks in some cases, they were bottom 10. Well, look what he's done against above-average defenses. 18 points against the Bears, 27 against Pittsburgh, 18 against Philadelphia. Now, it helps when the Steelers are making some mistakes out there. And that required a Hail Mary, by the way, get to 18. It drops from 21 points per game to 30.8 against bottom half defenses. The issue is, well, guess what? You're a bottom half defense. If you're healthier, maybe you can be more competitive, but this is still a matchup across the board that favors the Commanders against this iteration of the Dallas Cowboys. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. They invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out even if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money if one of your picks doesn't. It's a lower payout, but a better chance of being able to win your picks. What we've got for this week's game, my boy Jack Leroy is convinced Lamb's going to get a big chunk play. I actually don't hate it with the Commanders' injuries if Lamb plays. More on that in a little bit. 21.5 as the longest catch for CeeDee Lamb. Brian Robinson, anytime score, is kind of a no-brainer. And I love Jaden Daniels more than yards on the ground. 38.5 is that number. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is guaranteed, by the way. You don't even need to win to get the $50. It's guaranteed once you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today. Use code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Number 4 is CeeDee Lamb against maybe Mikey Sainristil. We'll see on that front there. Again, Lamb is banged up again with his back and his foot, but he was limited yesterday, so this might be just a management thing for Lamb. We'll see. I don't think they're going to get Marshawn Lattimore back, and the Commanders have done some unique stuff at corner this year. Marshawn Lattimore is obviously banged up right now. Benjamin St-Juste has been bad, put it that way. Mikey Sainristil, who was, I think, is a nickel at his core, and I think will be a nickel whenever Marshawn Lattimore gets back, maybe, has played very well, and he got that dog in him. That was one of my favorite players in this year's class. And the Commanders have played a ton of Noah Igbinoghene this year, mostly in the nickel. So if Lattimore can't go, you would think that Lamb would have the advantage if he's able to go. Do the Cowboys score a touchdown this week? Maybe you don't feel good about this one. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. Y for yes, N for no. Number 5, how about the Cowboys against their exes? All the exes live in Washington, apparently, these days. A lot of former players lining up in this one that are, let's just check out how they fare. Noah Brown, who, by the way, the Commanders don't switch their receivers. It is Terry McLaurin on the left, mostly where Diggs lines up. Noah Brown on the right, which maybe is DaRon Bland, or maybe it's Kalen Carson / Josh Butler. Tyler Biadasz at center, he's been fine. Been solid. He's been a lot of what he was in Dallas. Dante Fowler's having a great sack year. He's a bit banged up right now. Dorrance Armstrong's been one of their lead snap getters. And Igbinoghene, who couldn't crack the field in Dallas, is playing a decent amount for the Commanders as well. Anyone feel revenge game coming for those guys? Who knows? Now, we will be live for the Cowboys versus Commanders matchup. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/CowboysTV. Over to players to watch. Number 5, the quarterbacks. I put quarterbacks on here. McCarthy says that they're going to play Trey Lance in packages. Okay, we'll see. Cooper Rush this is really bad production. Like, this is not good play. And it's not all his fault, but, I don't know who else to blame when you drop a snap every game. Like, hits you in the chest. Like, that's on you, bud. When you're dirting throws to Deuce Vaughn from 4 yards away. I know he's small. He ain't that small. Got to get better play from Cooper Rush. And if you don't, you have to try Trey Lance at some point. Packages, sure, let's do it. I feel like the third, my money's on the third drive. Third drive, they try something with him. That's my guess. If they don't score a touchdown on the previous drive, I guess. I want to try it. Let's at least be entertaining and not just boring. So, what is your confidence level in the Cowboys beating the Commanders? We will put 0 as an option for you. 0 to 10 is your scale. Number 4, the backup tight ends. I don't think you're going to have Jake Ferguson. It's not a huge surprise there. So that means Luke Schoonmaker, but also Brevin Spann-Ford, who was kind of already playing over Luke Schoonmaker as tight end 2. I think you'll see Princeton Fant as a game day call-up again. Even if Lipke does play, you probably want that third option at tight end, and I would figure that Fant makes the most sense there. But that's a UDFA who's been outplaying your second-round pick. Would like to see that change a little bit. Number 3, DeMarvion Overshown. He has been one of your bright spots this year. Have there been many? No. But he has been one of them. And given that Jaden Daniels will scramble and is dynamic as I'll get out with his legs, if the rib's healthy, you need Overshown making plays. The spy might also be an option. The Cowboys have done a really good job of dialing up blitzes with Overshown. His success rate is profoundly high. Wouldn't be nearly as high if he was an every down edge rusher, but this role for him, I think, works very well. He has kind of been deployed in the Anthony Barr role to an extent. Not quite 1-to-1, but there have been some similarities there between Barr's time in Minnesota with Zimmer and what Overshown's doing this year. Number 2 is Mozzie Smith. The Commanders' interior offensive line started hot. It's kind of cooled down a little bit. I'll say that the last 2 games for Mozzie Smith have been 3 of his best ones this year. The best one was by far the Giants game. The bar is very low, though. So that's not saying that much, but he has at least been a playable defensive tackle. In fact, if you remember the PFF meme 119 out of 119, it's not that anymore. Hankins in Seattle is now the lowest graded defensive tackle in the NFL. He is also no longer your lowest graded run-stopping defensive tackle. That's Linval Joseph. He's shown fight. I want to see him keep showing progress. I am banking nothing on him in 2025, but he can prove me wrong. Go keep making some more plays. Number 1 is the entire offensive line with all of the injuries this team is currently facing. If Zack Martin and Terrence and Tyler Smith can't do anything on Friday, it ain't going to happen for him this week. And then you're staring down the barrel of we're going to play Brock Hoffman at left guard. We got Cooper Beebe in there at center. We're playing TJ Bass in there at right guard. We're going to figure out who our backup interior offensive lineman is. This might be a game day call-up for Dakota Shepley type of matchup, or maybe they try Josh Ball who can play some guard, or Awesome Richards, and Guyton I think will be able to go, and that's not a fun unit. Even with no Jonathan Allen. DaRon Payne against those boys on the interior? Oh, I don't like that very much. Yeah, there's a reason why you're a double-digit dog in this one.